Hi guys, I'm Hassan Shah from Metro State University of Denver, and we get our news from so many different places, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you name it. But not only has media consumption changed, the way stories are told are changing more than ever in a new journalistic trend called multimedia journalism. What is the definition? And that's exactly what we're going to explore in this video. We're going to see where it was before, where it is now, and to see if this trend is reversible and what you as a consumer should know when it comes to getting news. We talked to multimedia journalists in Denver that can give us that perspective. Let's take a look.
The evolution of broadcasting has allowed for better storytelling. When you shot film, for instance, which does predate me. I didn't learn on film, I learned on tape. But when you shot film and then you had to splice it together, literally with tape, with physical tape that you put on the film, you couldn't do like all the little nat sound pops and the fast edits.
It's a platform issue. How many platforms are you running? Now we're doing the story here, but we're also doing it for the web, and we are also doing it for iPhone streaming. And we also pre-package it for this, that, and the other thing, and we share with our owner scripts across various platforms all at the same time.
A multimedia journalist who is conceptually a person who provides that content for all platforms, the onus is on them to be skilled in all of those platforms and then also to be self-sufficient.
The term multimedia journalist has very much so evolved, but I think writing, shooting, and editing your own stories is definitely not a new concept. I think what has changed is that larger markets are now having multimedia journalists in their newsroom more consistently and more of them.
So when I heard the word broadcasting, or when I would think of broadcasting, I would think of just very fancy people on desk giving the news, and I thought that's all they had to do. But no, there's so much more, and there's a lot of work.
You're not only shooting, writing, and editing, you're writing your story for the web, you're it all.
The hardest part about being a multimedia / photographer for a news organization is multitasking. More often than not, every story that we do for the newspaper, we have to shoot video, we have to shoot stills, we have to edit the video, we have to put the video online, we have to do photo galleries, so there's a lot of work involved.
I have to actually contact the people and set a time, and apart from writing the story, coming up with the questions, actually going to the location, setting up, taking all the equipment, and performing the interview, having to come back, transfer, in this case, all the footage, and get all the bites and sound bites that I need to form the story or the package.
Multimedia seems to be creating a whole new journalistic trend, not to mention changing the way stories are told.
The web may be a new medium, but web users have a certain expectation of what they want to see. Studies show that if a page doesn't load in 3 seconds, you're gone.
There's an expectation, because we're so hooked up in immediacy, that when news happens, they're going to get alerted right away. And so that's really been the migration of the multimedia process.
I think it's more exciting to the viewer to be able to watch a video, read the story, look at the pictures, and then you really have an idea of what went on at that situation.
Exciting and creative. It wasn't as easy to pull it off in the beginning.
Something that old line, straight up hardcore broadcast journalists are having to learn now is how to write for the web as opposed to how to write broadcast copy. And it is a little bit different because web copy comes out a little more formal, but it still must have that read like the wind character.
The newspaper was an elite form of journalism. If you were broadcast, television, or radio, you were less than a journalist because it was, you'd gone rogue basically. And so broadcast was always kind of separated.
It would probably be 2008, 2009 when that kind of started changing. I think the economy played a big role in that, and it's less expensive to have one person do it all.
Technology seemed to finally catch up in about 07 or 08. I'm at KWGN by then, and we are able to feature more stories on the web with more server space, but again, we fell into that same trap of let's do the news show on the web. Let's put on a show. The same show. It wasn't helping.
Big reason multimedia is so big is because everybody can do it. You can make a multimedia short piece with your iPhone, you know, so it allows everybody to be creative. It allows everybody to tell stories.
That's right, there's several challenges of being a multimedia reporter. You have to write, shoot, edit, and all of that stuff. But just like anything, there's pros and cons to multimedia reporting. At the end of the day, it's all about the story that you put out for the audience.
What you put on the air is your reputation, and in this business, it's not what you did last week, it's what your last story was, and you want your reputation in the industry to be as important, and you have to stand up for it because nobody's going to fight for that for you.
It affects the credibility a lot because people don't understand journalism ethics, and it's the same as bloggers. You know, you get multimedia people out there that are staging shots and it's not accurate, it's not what was going on, and it's kind of affects credibility of journalism in general.
When you're a multimedia journalist, you have your hands in multiple things. You're not necessarily an expert in shooting like a photographer is. And a lot of good storytelling is good pictures. And if you can't capture those pictures and those nat sounds and those moments, and the editing isn't in the way that tells the story the best, it can really take away whether you wrote an amazing package.
Because you are a one-man band, you are limited. So sometimes, yeah, I sometimes do come up with stories and work with a photographer, and I feel like when I do that, I can focus more on the writing, I can focus more on the creative, because I have that person to, you know, stand by me and do the rest.
Sky's the limit creatively. You can do, as a one-man band, all sorts of really interesting ways to tell a story, but also break new ground in how you're telling it.
Before, it was about telling a story. Now, it's about telling the same story in different ways.
It's more creative. A lot of times in your head, you have to write the story. You may not be actually writing copy, but you have to think while you're shooting it how you're going to piece it together. You have to know what shots you want. You have to know what shots you have.
To be a better multimedia journalist, you have to constantly be challenging yourself and stepping out of your box. You're going to become better, as well as it's going to improve your storytelling.
This is an ever-changing world, but I still believe the fundamentals are pretty simple. You cater your content and your presentation toward what that audience expects.
I just think multimedia is a very useful tool in storytelling, and it will allow you to reach a bigger audience, because a lot of people don't like to read, so they'd rather watch the video.
Knowing that the reporter's doing it all, you know, they may have a better understanding of what we're doing every day to bring them the news and to bring them what's important on a daily basis.
I really think like it's gonna stay like multimedia, and it's gonna increase. Just because, you know, companies are seeing that people can do more than one task.
Story is a story is a story. It just needs to be told well for the medium it's in.
And MMJ's situation presents new challenges, but it also presents new opportunities to improve the storytelling.
Multimedia journalism, however, we're still writing the textbooks on that, and we probably will be. Oh, I would imagine I'll be long gone retired in Florida fishing on my pontoon boat before anybody has come up with established formulas, and then somebody will change it again.